The protest is C and D, C and D, A1 and D, A1 and D, C and the protest and D, C and D, A. 1, 2, 3, and the protest and D, C de modération and D, C and D.
policy development in 1 2 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. One, two, one, one, two. That's 0, 1. Policy development in the African region. 0, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. One, two. C'est bon. 03, 04.
PDP stable. Ah, ok. 1, 2, et 1, 2. Et 1, 2. Nah, kau yang bunyi kira. Wow.
Traduction, cabine.
Allô?
Vous pouvez parler, cabine?
On est bon, hein? On vous entend. Oui, l'Association des universités africaines, le réseau de recherche et d'enseignement. Ça se passe, vous m'entendez bien? Bon, c'est un problème de volume, hein, pour dire vrai. Parce que là, moi, je vous entends très bien. Et avec le volume, avec l'ajustement, ça doit passer. Mais ça se passe bien. Sengan. Sengan? Il dit que c'est pas assez fort, mais nous, on n'a pas de problème. Est-ce que c'est pas un problème de volume à leur niveau? Mais ça va, hein? Nous, on parle Ouais, il n'y a pas de problème. En fait, si vous avez le récepteur, il s'agit juste d'ajuster le volume. Mais là, est-ce que vous pouvez monter le volume avec le récepteur? De toute façon, moi, je vous entends très bien et si vous ajustez normalement le volume, ça doit passer. Parce que là, c'est clair, hein, à notre niveau. All right.
Test, test. Allô, vous me recevez? Allô? Test, test. Ok. Ça marche.
1, 2. 101 captions. Test. 101 captions. Test. exceptions? Test 01. Test over.
ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the Please settle down. And before we start the business of the day, I've been told that there is a meeting survey for you to fill. There's a link to do that right outside the room. Maybe during the breaks, you could look at doing that. Is it possible to have that up on the screen? Rather than have everybody go out to scan the barcode, or what's that thing called, QR code. Okay, so we have a really packed schedule before us. We will attempt to do 3 hours of work in 30 minutes, as is on the agenda. My name is Dewale Ajao, co-chair the Afrinic Policy Development Working Group. With us online is Sami Sali, who is also co-chair, but would be ending his term today. And because of that, we will be having elections for a new co-chair as one of the earlier items in the agenda. Here's the agenda. With me here is Madhvi Gokul. She will be the staff supporting us during the course of this policy development session, which would run through the day. So for those of us who are newcomers to the policy development process, we will start with a bit of an overview of the process and how we intend to run this particular meeting. So we'll just jump right into it. Housekeeping notes and code of conduct. It's very important to treat others with politeness and respect. Please avoid any behavior that would offend anyone or discriminate based on gender, sexual orientation, religion, race, ethnic origin, or any other perceived differences. Personal attacks or defamatory or discriminatory comments will not be tolerated. If you happen to disagree with someone on an issue, please state your opinion calmly and politely. Respect the agenda. Please keep your remarks on topic and for the relevant part of the meeting. If we have moved away from a particular topic, please refrain from dragging us back there. Respect the timekeeping. Keep your remarks as short as possible. And if the microphone or the microphone queue is closed before you have had a chance to speak, please return to your seat. It would be helpful if you could write down what you had in mind to contribute, and then we'll take it during the open mic session after the policy discussions. Respect language differences. We have translators and we have remote participants, so you should please try to speak slowly, clearly, and use the microphones. It's expected that at all times you act in the best interests of the Afrinic community. We hope it doesn't get to this point, but if you exhibit inappropriate behavior, as determined by the chairs, you may be asked to leave the meeting venue. So the format that the policy discussion sessions will take is this. Hopefully we don't deviate too much from it. The policy proposal and the authors will be introduced. A summary of the discussions on the RPD mailing list since the last meeting will be shared. The authors then present their policy proposals to the community. If there's a staff assessment, whatever the contents of the staff assessment are would be presented briefly by staff. We will take questions and comments from the floor and responses from the policy proposal authors. After that, co-chairs would consult to gauge the overall direction of the discussions. Now that may or may not include asking for a show of hands, not as a vote, but just to see what the discussions have gone like. During the course of the meeting, comments from the live chat room would also be taken. When questions are asked here, they would be posed in the chat rooms as well, even though there is audio available for everyone, remote and on-site. And where there's a need for a show of hands, that would also be extended to the remote chat room. The remote chat, the live chat is available on the website. On the meeting website, you would see participate remotely. There's a login and a register button, or register tab. It's very simple. You click on the register tab, select your username, select your password, and it will ask you for a nickname, and you're in. So after the consultation, a decision is made by co-chairs on the next steps for the proposal, which is it's either returned to the mailing list for further discussion, or if it is gauged that there is rough consensus, then the policy proposal is sent to a last call stage. So an overview of the PDP. The number resource management policies are developed through an open policy development process, and there's no specific requirement to participate. All you need to be is interested and join the mailing list. Anybody at all can propose and discuss policy proposals. Most of the discussions happen on the mailing list, rpd@afrinic.net. And all the archives going back as far as 2004 or so are available online. The discussions that have been held on the mailing lists then lead to taking to public policy meetings, which we hold twice yearly, once at the AIS, like this, and then once more towards the end of the year. So a rough summary of what the PDP process looks like is this. It's not exact, but this would give an idea. Anybody can submit a proposal, which is the first stage. Now, that submission could be to the co-chairs or policy staff. There's a submission URL. Or you could, if you feel confident enough, submit your policy proposal directly to the RPD mailing lists. Now, the preferred form to ensure that the policy proposals are smoother, the preferred form would be that you submit what you observe to be a problem to the mailing list, and then let that discussion lead to a policy proposal for consideration. So we do that. We have those discussions on the RPD lists. The PDP specifies that the discussions must hold for at least 4 weeks. And then after those 4 weeks or more, it's discussed at the public policy meeting, which is where we are right now. And then it could go either way, back for discussion on the mailing list, or back for a last call period on a specific draft that most people have agreed to. If it comes out of that, it goes to the board of directors for ratification. The job of the board of directors, that is the board of directors of Afrinic Limited, the company, their job is just to make sure that the policy development process as laid down was followed in arriving at that conclusion. If they agree with that, then it is implemented by Afrinic staff and becomes one of the policies that guide how internet number resources are managed and distributed in the Afrinic service region. And that's what the bottom-up process is about. You, the interested community and users, determine how that works. We'd like to give a little bit of feedback to the community as co-chairs on some things that we think can be done, or shall I say, things we've observed, and it's left to you, the community, to decide on how you want to pick up on those and improve the policy development process. As many of you would be aware, there is a policy proposal on the table to modify the policy development process. The interesting thing about the PDP is that you can't make any changes to the process without going through the same PDP. So we're short on time, but I'll try to quickly power through this. We have one of the items is that we have a no changes deadline of 1 week for a policy proposal that is already under discussion. So the PDP put it that way so that we would have time to discuss any new version before we now come to the actual face-to-face meeting as we are here. We think that time is short. Ideally, 3 weeks would be a better period of time, but it's up to you all, because after that draft is proposed, staff need to analyze it and respond to say, oh, we think this or that is the implication. So we think it will help our discussions if we have more time to discuss draft proposals before we come to the face-to-face meetings. We also think that the current interpretation of the PDP as requiring co-chairs to take a decision on the consensus status right within a few seconds of the discussions on the floor could be improved. You could give us a couple of hours or maybe a couple of days to then summarize what has gone on the mailing list and in the room before giving the call. The other part is not just about the call, but it helps us give proper guidance on how the policy proposal could move forward. So again, it's already in the PDP. The current wording allows that to be the case, but because we have interpreted it in previous years to mean that the decision has to be made right here, we would need you to understand that if you want that kind of change to happen. A little bit about conduct during discussions, both on the lists and in the room. We've had instances where people disrespect others and we deviate from the actual policy-making discussions that we should be having. And it's a handful for people, for the co-chairs. Sometimes discussions go on and we're not even there to realize. You come after a couple of hours and see, oh, this and that has happened and you need to take action, and it's just a big mess. So if some of you would like to volunteer your time and service to help keep an eye out for conversation that's going out of control, it would be nice to discuss that at the open mic as well. Now, if you feel you've been attacked in the course of a conversation, please feel free to bring it to the attention of the co-chairs. So, all of that rambling, what can we do to help increase the level of participation in the PDP? We see a lot of people are quiet, even though there'd be talk in the hallways, but contributions on the mailing list would be better. So if there are things that are preventing you from participating effectively, please let us know. Let's talk about it at the open mic after the policy discussions. And I would advise that you write it down, please, so that you don't forget. with that, I would hand over to Madhvi for the policy implementation experience report. Thank you.
Thank you, Diwali. Good morning. I'm Madhvi Goku, Registration Services Manager at Afrinic. And as usual, it's early morning, but I'll be presenting the Policy Implementation Experience Report. During the course of this presentation, the purpose of us presenting here is to provide feedback to the members and our community regarding the recently ratified policies and the implementation timelines, ratified policies that have already been implemented since the last meeting, experiences faced by host masters while we evaluate resource requests based on the currently implemented policies, and sections of the Consolidated Policy Manual that may no longer be relevant. In the course of the presentation, you'll see CPM. CPM means Consolidated Policy Manual. This is a document that's on our website and which contains all the policies that have been ratified and implemented in the Afrinic service region. So, the policy regarding lame delegations has been ratified by the Afrinic board and it's now pending implementation. It shall be incorporated in the Consolidated Policy Manual, and the time of implementation that we've received from our software engineering team is the 1st of June 2018. That is within the timeline of the Consolidated Policy Manual for policy implementation. With some delays because we had requested for an extension, we have already implemented the IPv4 resource transfers within the Afrinic region. That was implemented in February of this year, and Afrinic is now accepting intra-RIR IPv4 transfers from both our resource members and legacy holders in our service region. On to the sections of the Consolidated Policy Manual that has started getting queries from the community. The recently implemented IPv4 resource transfer policy, which is restricted to IPv4 resources only at the moment. And we've had queries from our membership as to whether ASNs can also be transferred. Of course, we've told as per the policy under that. And also, what we also have at Afrinic is we have a guidelines regarding mergers and acquisitions. There's still a guideline at the moment and allows for transfers of IPv4, IPv6 and ASN resources between our members and in our service region. So we sense there's a bit of misalignment here. We have a policy that allows for market transfers and guidelines regarding M&As. Next section is regarding, we have on the left, so 5.6.1, this is the section that is most recent from the implementation of the soft lending policy in our region. And on the right, we have two clauses that still exist in our Consolidated Policy Manual that mention 80% usage for additional allocation or assignments, whereas the soft lending phase 1, the soft lending policy mentions 90%. And the other clause in 5.6.3 is regarding additional PI assignments, where you see the conditions there, 25% immediate utilization rate and 50% utilization rate within 1 year. And this is sort of conflicting with the soft lending policy. Okay. All right, so it's ambiguous. So our interpretation so far is 5.4.6.1 supersedes the other sections, And we keep informing the members as to what policy. This is a standard procedure now. When we receive resource requests, we inform the members that to what policy in the CPM are being used to evaluate the resource request, and if they think that was not what they meant or what the intention, and if another policy is the one under which they're requesting resources, the conversation happens. So one of the experiences that we found, that was very recently, is that some end users, the micro category, those who have a /24s, they are not eligible to get additional resources unless they have reached 90% usage. And yet, the resources that they require, that they're requesting for, is mostly for growth. They have an additional site that is coming up, or a data center, or a backup site. Another section of the CPM, it's all IPv4, but I'll tell you why we're mentioning these at the moment. It's the CPM section 5.1.13.3 regarding the SOR, the suballocation window, and particularly the clause that the LIR cannot make any suballocations to the end user above their SOR in a 12 months period. Okay. Right now, in the soft landing phase, all projected usage is 8 months. So we have 8 months and 12 months. And we shall maintain this 12 months period as long as there's no policy change. Yeah, CPM 5.4.2, that's quite a long, quite a number of text in there. But it mentions like current phase, okay? The current phase that was in the soft landing policy that has been implemented. Right now, in reality, the current phase is where we stand today, and where we stand today is phase 1 of the soft landing policy. In the future months, when we embark on the second phase of the soft landing policy, the current phase will be the phase 2. All right. So, and another section in the CPM that we 5.5.1.4.3, where we shall try to allocate a contiguous address ranges to minimize the number of route announcements for the LIRs. Well, this has not been possible. This is still not possible at the moment. As we were reaching the last /8, and as we have embarked on the phase 1 of the policy, because we are issuing resources until we have only the resources that would trigger the phase 2 in hand. So as from phase 2, AFRINIC shall try and respect this policy clause and allocate contiguous address ranges. CPM section 5.6.2, the requesting end users must be an AFRINIC member in good standing. The good standing is an AFRINIC business rule and in fact applies to all resource allocations, not only the first end user assignment, okay? And it's also covered in the AFRINIC Registration Services Agreement. So if the community would like to keep the resource policies, the scope of resource policies to cover technical requirements, and not business rules, the corporate business rules that we have, then they can propose a change and remove this clause. All right. Now, the abuse contacts, this was, we received an email from a community member last week. And in regard to asking us about the stats about abuse contacts in our database. And we don't have any abuse C attribute in any of the AFRINIC WHOIS objects. We have the abuse mailbox attribute and also the MNT-IRT. That is a result. The MNT-IRT is a result of a policy implementation in our region, but it was optional. So some statistics that was asked, and we'd like to make them public, is that 3 out of 2,296 organization objects in our database have an abuse mailbox. We have 139 organization objects that have specified the abuse email in the wrong attribute, example, notify attribute, remarks, or email. We have 12,366 objects that have specified the abuse email in the wrong attribute, in the wrong attribute. For the MNT-IRT object, only 19 out of 1,587 ordinum objects reference it. Only 9 out of 30,699 INET 6num objects have an MNT-IRT. And for the IPv4, the INET num, 148 out of 106,380 objects have an MNT-IRT, and these objects belong to the only 14 organizations out of more than 2,296 org objects that we have on the database. To conclude, so we'd like to ask the community, do you feel that the CPM needs to be updated to remove the sections on regarding IPv4 that create confusion, may be obsolete, or are no longer relevant? Whether do you feel that the scope of the transfers in the Consolidated Policy Manual can be extended to include ASNs and IPv6 for market transfers? And also we have a section for mergers and acquisitions. Can the abuse policy that we have at the moment in our Consolidated Policy Manual be improved on? Some of the benefits that some of the policy changes would bring would be clearer and concise text regarding our resource policies, aligned interpretation, staff interpretation, and as well as when our resource members read the policies, which we recommend they do. So there's an aligned interpretation at first glance, the first time they read it. And the cleanup shall also enable us to have a smooth transition to phase 2 of the soft landing policy. In terms of what we have regarding V4, this is where we're going in phase 2. And, it's these are all the requirements that would fit towards phase 2. And also the evolution of the policies will match the reality of our resource members. This report builds upon all our previous policy implementation experience reports. We shall be documenting these on the AFRINIC website shortly, so that any potential policy authors who want to propose changes can actually consult these. And if you want to engage with us, we're here. There's myself and 2 host masters. We're here until Friday. And also you can email our Policy Development Working Group on the email address there, so that you can be helped as well to work on your policy proposals. On that, thank you very much for your attention. We shall take questions. Are there questions? Yeah.
Regarding the policy implementation experience report, online?
Okay, I haven't checked online now.
Okay. There's a question by Andrew Alson. He says, as yet has there been any transfers implemented?
Okay, I would, in fact, on the presentation for tomorrow, I would have expanded more about the transfer policies. We have received resource transfers based on the policy. They are currently under evaluation. On the other hand, while implementing the policy, we tried to also implement what we call the transfer log. The other RIRs had already implemented it. That covered all transfers, whether under policy or M&As. And we have executed mergers and acquisitions transfers as after February, after the policy implementation. So that has happened. But policy transfers is being evaluated. We have tickets already that are open and under evaluation at the moment. So once they are executed, our transfer logs, which are available on our website, on our FTP stats website, that will be updated automatically. All right, so the community may also check that, and as we evolve, we may publish more statistics on the website as well in that regard.
Thank you, Madhvi. In the absence of any other questions or comments on the experience reports, we will now move into elections. Master slide, please. So the first election would be for the Policy Development Working Group Co-Chair, seat currently held by Sami. I call on the NOMCOM 2018 Chair, Dr. Wale Adedokun, and our Phoenix staff.
Okay, good morning. Let my slides come up very quickly. The Policy Working Group co-chair election has only one candidate. His name is Mark Elkins. Let's see the slide so that you can see his face. NOMCOM had quite a number of nominees initially for the NOMCOM, for the co-chair position. We actually got 3 nominations, but before the final slate was released, 2 of the nominees withdrew their nominations. So we have only Mark Elkins left as the only nominee for PDP co-chair. Mark Elkins is from South Africa and is the CEO of Post6. I will call Mark Elkins to come up and talk to the community. I'll give him 2 minutes to tell the community why he should be elected. Mark, please. The community will see you from the back, so please come to the front.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Elkins. Yes, I reside in South Africa, and yes, I am a member of AfriNIC, As a member organization, the company is POSIX Systems. I'm also an associate member of AFRINIC, which is a very old historical, for old historical reasons. I have held a number of responsibilities within the AFRINIC community, including board of directors, ASO representative, non-com on various times. Oh, that looks so nice. And I've even stood in for as PDP co-chair when no representatives of the PDP co-chairs themselves were available at a particular meeting in Mauritius. From a policy point of view, I've been attached to policies for a large number of years. The first policy that I ever proposed and got through myself through the PDP process system was the /48 policy in IPv6. So I've been doing this for quite a long time. I'm well aware of who the community is. I've attended the majority of meetings. I think I've missed 3 meetings. I missed the last meeting in Nigeria, but I was certainly remotely present in the meeting. And I know probably the majority of historical members of the AFRINIC community. So I believe I'm relatively well known, and I look forward to this job. I believe it's important, especially perhaps at this time. What else should I say? If anyone wishes to question why I should stand, I would appreciate those questions. Otherwise, I hope that through a show of hands that I can serve this community in this particular job. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I want to ask the community if there is any question or comment for Mike. Please, if you have any question or comments, get to the mic. We need to do this very quickly. Okay.
Thank you. My first point is not with the candidates, but with the election process. I just want to be sure. Please answer this question. Those online, are they voting yes or no? Then I proceed.
Sorry?
Those who are following the discussion online, are they voting? Because I heard something like that. I don't know how far it is true.
For the PDP co-chair, the bylaw says people that are in the room by show of hands. So people that are online, they are not voting.
They are not voting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Now I'm coming to the candidates. I have 2 issues with Mark Elkins. Issues with his intellectual ability to be a co-chair. We are currently crossing difficult situations where one should be circumspect with what he puts online or what he do or he does or says. But calling for the vote of no confidence at this particular time is an act of squashing the entire AFRINIC executive or organizations. Don't forget, the CEO is also a voting member of the board. So to say all of them to go, what is he aiming at? I don't think he has what it takes to be there. That's the first point. Second, on the mailing list, there's no single instance I've seen, to the best of my knowledge, Mark Elkins has been positive or contributed positively. He opposed. You can oppose, sure, but be constructive. Being there for someone who is not constructive, I'm afraid this community is going dangerously to squash itself. So I don't think we have to vote in there. Let's vote no. Thank you.
Yeah, Douglas?
Thank you very much, Chair. I have noted the contributions made by Marcus, and probably they form a part of my contribution and comments regarding the upcoming elections. First and foremost, my like or dislike from Mark aside, I am cognizant of the fact that he's the only candidate that has made the final slate. To that extent, therefore, I am in this regard, I would be happy to support him for election. He has done some of the work that indicates he is capable of doing the co-chair role. I am hoping he will discharge it with the due neutrality. I do not believe we should go in circles around this because we've come through a long process of disqualifying candidates and ending up with one. So I'm hopeful that we can go through the vote and then try and figure out what happens after that. Thank you very much.
Okay, Boubacar.
Oui, Boubacar Bari, Wakren.
Boubacar Bari, Wakren. I don't want to talk about the candidate. I think Mark has served Afrinek for a number of occasions for various positions. And I think the current situation is a bit problematic. The organization is not attractive enough for people to engage and take positions, and I think this is something we need to address as our brothers and sisters from the Anglophone region says. Afrinek is going through a situation where we find it difficult to have many candidates for such important positions. I think this is something that should be a concern for each and every one. And I do think that for the outcome to come, we need to make additional effort in order to have more volunteers to serve our organization. I think among this community we have many people, in particular the young people, that can engage and contribute to our organization. I thank you. Speak in French. The fact that we have a single candidate is a problem, but I think we cannot have a result that will actually define this community. What I would suggest is the committee make a proposal, an objective proposal, so that we can have a process that will be adopted by the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think what I want to ask Mark is, can we extract a commitment that he will remain neutral? Because this is a position now. Maybe he was in the opposition party, but now he's becoming the government himself. So I don't think he will now become an opposition to himself. So I will want to see if in his responses we can extend some commitment that he has to remember now he's on the seat, not in the crowd. And that way, I think maybe it will restore some confidence in the community from the remarks I'm hearing from some people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other?
Hi, I'm Badrun Tanye. I've served with Mark. I like Mark. I would call him a friend maybe. But his recent actions question judgment at times for the good of the organization. It's like a friend walking into a room with an explosive. So I would really ask Mark that maybe this is not the right time for this role. Basically that's it. And I said I'm still a friend, but this is not the time for that role.
Thank you. I will ask Mark to respond to just one of the questions. Second to the last question. We will leave the community to decide, by show of hands after Mark's response. Okay, there's someone that has the mic. Yes?
Yes, I support Mr. Mark because I think he has a very understanding policy, and with his experience that I think he's a versatile nominee. That's
Thank
all.
you. Okay, Mark. Okay, online?
Yes. Comment from online, Andrew Ralston from Liquid Telecom. I'm just reading. There is a process and the process was followed. We cannot now wish to change the process because we don't like the results of it if we did not participate in it. Secondly, as a comment from defamation of a candidate in terms of the intelligence of a candidate, that is out of scope and defamatory. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before I hand over to Elcom, I've just been informed that the online participation is being monitored. So the people online also has the chance to vote since it's being monitored live. So I will hand over to Elcom. There are two ways. You can show hands if you want Mark, and if you don't want Mark, you will also be given chance to show hands. Yes, Harald.
Yes, this is Alain Aina. How are we authenticating the remote people? Because I could be in my office and 10 of my staff online and vote for me. So how are we authenticating the remote?
Is the CEO here? Please, can you confirm that?
There's not much.
Please allow me time to consult.
I don't know what this is.
So it's my belief that we do not allow online voting for this. The voting is by the community who's present in this room by a show of hands.
Yes.
Hi, it's I just want to say concerning the online participation, I don't think it will really not be very easy to assess the participation online for this one, because even us here in this room can participate to the website, because actually I used to connect online to the Jabber because I like to see how the comments are done. So I don't think it will be very easy to know if participants online are whether really online or whether they are physically here but in the web chat.
Okay, thank you. I don't think we need to waste too much time on this. ECOM has come back to my position. We will take the people in the room alone, and we'll forget about the online participation. Okay? So I hand over to ELCOM to conduct the election proper. Thank you.
I was left with one question from the people that came onto the floor. That question basically stated, how will I act? I will obviously act according to the methodology of how non-com is meant to act. That is in a totally neutral manner. And by doing so as a neutral manner, I will obviously not be expressing my opinion on mailing lists regarding policies, etc. So that is how you can expect me to act. I don't want to go past that for now, I believe.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I'm sure you can go and take your seats. I hand over to Welcome.
Okay, we are going to start now. We are going to get this. Oh, Douglas.
Actually, I wanted to raise a point of order. We discussed about whether or not remote participants would be allowed to participate or vote. There is a paragraph in our PDP that says anyone present at the meeting, then it qualifies whether in person or by remote participation may participate in the selection process. There's a problem though. It says for a temporary chair.
Yeah, so Douglas just nullified everything he said. Alan, please.
Yeah, thanks, Douglas. Douglas pointed that out to me a few seconds before he came to the microphone. I think it's a bug in the process. It would be nice if the next revision to the PDP clarified that. My reading of the text as it's written is that for our normal elections, it's only people present in the room, but for a temporary chair, it includes online voting. And that's a little weird. I don't think that was intended, but that's what it says.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for a different comment. I would like to open now the vote. I will call Leslie and Leah, volunteering from the others area to help us counting the vote. So for this election, the voting will be done by show hands. So all the delegates that are for Mark Elkins, please raise your hand and we will count. Yeah, sorry.
I need to know who the other person is so we can keep different sides of the room.
Yeah.
Maybe hands open now.
Yeah. So,
Axel, if you could help, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Okay. The voting is open. Those who are for Mark and Sin, please raise your hand.
Can you please put those hands up high?
Hi.
Thank you.
Good. Okay. Few seconds left before. Okay. So, thank you very much. You can take a breath. 1 minute. Okay. Gillian, is okay? Okay. Let's start now. For those who are not for Mark Elsin, please raise up your hands. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, committee members. Let me read the result of the election. We have 78 members have voted. 22 said yes, 56 said no. So, it's very clear that the committee has said no to Mark Elkins. Now, as non-com, I want to call for nominations from the floor. I will do the election right away. So, nominations, please. Nominations for PDP co-chair.
Okay. Non-com chair, please. Can I?
Please go ahead.
We've gone through a non-com process.
Yes.
To select a candidate.
Yes.
Right? And the community has said no for the candidate. I think the real things to do maybe to go through another non-com process up to the November meeting, because running the election on a flight like this may not be something appropriate to do, or we may consider filling the positions just for November, but running this kind of election on the fly,
Noted.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the bylaws call for running the election on the fly in this event.
Noted.
I was just about to confirm that. The text says the PDP co-chairs are chosen by the Afronic community during the public policy meeting.
Noted.
That's the design.
Noted.
Yeah, I've come to say the same thing, so consider it said.
Noted.
Mark Elkins here. Regarding that, from personal experience as non-com, when there were no candidates wishing to do the job, that is when a vote was called, and people from the community were called to do the job. And that's when they were immediately voted on. I see that it's still there as a reliable solution for now.
Thank you. Yes, Bob.
That you can do does not mean you should do. That you have the right to do, ability to do, does not mean you should do. Okay? I think if you've been through a long non-com process and you were able to bring only one candidate, then non-com itself, which is supposed to be much better than random voting, has failed. And if that is the case, I think we should really think hard than to rush to put somebody there because it says you can do. And I repeat, the fact that you can do or have the right to do does not mean you should do. You have to really rethink what's the purpose, okay? If you insist and do, and it becomes the same problem, I think we are in a way not making progress. So I would really like to suggest that for once, let's pause and let's realize that maybe something is not quite right, okay, and try to fix it in a longer term. And so from that point of view, I tend to sympathize with the idea that non-com should go back to the drawing board and figure out how to candidates, and therefore a good candidate will come out. In the meantime, look, we have a strong Afrinic organization. We should want to find somebody within the Afrinic institution itself to support that process administratively until we are able to figure a solution for this. But if you go ahead with this, it's like you are forcing something. That's because you can do. And I'm saying if you can do, it does not mean you should do. Thank you.
I also support the idea to postpone getting a co-chair on board here and to really go through the process so that the community can have the opportunity to nominate people to assess them so that they come up with a good candidate who will be elected, at the next PDP meeting. So I strongly support that. In the meantime, maybe Africa can support, the current co-chair. And if by chance people feel that we have to go and move on and elect, nominate and elect somebody here, I would suggest that it will be a temporary one, only until the next meeting. And in the meantime, have the process run again. Thank you.
Thank you. Ufa?
Hi, good morning. My name is Ufa Modi. I'm an Afrinic fellow. And my question is for the non-com actually. When the previous candidates were nominated,